What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Engage 8 podcast. I'm your host, Zach, with my two co-hosts, Josh and Mike. Today, we're going to be talking about the second round of the NBA playoffs and kind of where you guys left off with last week's episode, talking about like your superstar tier lists or just lists of superstars in general. And then I know I have a couple notes about the NFL schedule release that is officially happening tomorrow on Wednesday, but I've got a couple games that I am excited about, or I'm just that I hope the Bears land for week one. So before that all gets underway, I'd like to give my thoughts on that. But first, I want to give my superstar tier list, or at least my list of superstars. You guys can comment on it, probably just pick it apart if you need to.
Will
So
do.
I kind of divided it up a little uh, more complex than just listing a bunch of names. I have like three main tiers. Tier one is basically just like easy, no debate. These are the top guys in the league. Tier two is they're superstars, but they either need to like we need to see a little bit more to put them in that top tier, or they're just coming down from that top tier. They're getting pretty old. And tier three, guys that can go either way, you can argue for or against them. So for tier
Kind of
one, I
defeats the
had
whole purpose of
Luca.
this activity, but whatever.
I mean, kind of, sort of, but given the guys in the list, I can't
Give
just
us
like
your
go black and white with
superstars.
it.
Give it your superstars.
Okay, so 100% superstars: Luca, Jokic, Embiid, and Giannis are in my first tier. SGA, Ant, LeBron, Curry, Tatum, KD, Book, and Kyrie are in my second tier. Those are just no debate, 100%.
How many is that? Like 10?
I believe 11.
Okay.
And then in my third tier, you could go either way, but it all depends based on longevity of what they've been doing, for how long they've been doing it, injuries, stuff like that. Anthony Davis, Kawhi, Dame, Brunson, Paul George, Wemby, Zion, Paolo, John Morant, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Sabonis, and Jimmy Butler.
Say that last tier one more time.
The last tier:
Yeah, the one you just said.
Anthony Davis, Kawhi, Dame Lillard, Jalen Brunson, Paul George, Wemby, Zion, Paolo, John Morant, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Domantas Sabonis, and Jimmy Butler.
Hmm. Did you name Anthony Edwards at all?
I was
Yeah,
gonna
tier
ask
two.
that, yeah. He was in tier two.
I think I
Okay.
said Ant.
Yeah, I think the only one of that last tier that's a superstar right now is Brunson, in my opinion.
I agree.
I just feel like he hasn't been doing what he's doing right now for long enough.
He's been an MVP candidate this year though.
He's definitely elevating in the playoffs for sure. Like he's averaging what, 30 plus for sure.
Something like, I mean, the last game was bad, but outside of that, he's been great for the entire
Right.
series.
And he's also dealing with a couple injuries too. He's got like that foot or leg thing or something, and then he had that hand issue. And he's also been playing 40 plus minutes a game too. So
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of guys in that I just in that last tier that I just couldn't even consider. Like the closest one in that last tier outside of who did I just say, Brunson, that I do think is a superstar would be like Dame, but he's had a tough year this year, so I struggle with that one a little bit. Um, Jimmy, no.
I
AD,
just love how he elevates his game in the playoffs.
he does,
He just
but
gets like he just hits another gear in the playoffs. That's why I have him in that like could go either way tier.
yeah, I think I would feel the same way about him and like Jamal Murray. Both
I
of
can see
them
that a little
don't
bit.
do great in the regular season. They both have great playoffs, and we don't
I
know whether
also
to
have
put
a
them as
tier that's
superstar or
like
not.
below superstar, like for sure not superstar in my opinion, but could be soon, or they were at a previous time. If you want me to read
And that
those off.
is, yeah, go ahead.
I got Cat, Jalen Brown, DeMar DeRozan, Trey Young, De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Maxey, James Harden, Jamal Murray, and Pascal Siakam.
No
I could be
Sabonis?
Yeah,
forgetting people.
no
Sabonis was in
Sabonis.
my
Yeah,
Sabonis was in my tier above that, where you could go either
Oh,
way with them.
okay.
yeah, Sabonis I think is close too. He's been phenomenal over the past couple of years.
And
But
you
I
said
like how
both
you
there.
said, Mike. I like how you said Wemby though in the last episode. I was
I think
listening
I
to it on
meant,
my drive home.
and he's a
I
superstar.
I
I think
I
next year, no
think
question.
so. That's what I'm saying. Next year, no question. I want to see him build off of what he did in his rookie year, and then do it with a little bit more minutes, where he's going to have a little bit more wear on the tires throughout the entire year.
And I want to see
I
him with better players and see if
That
the
too.
winning will translate.
oh, we can talk about, I guess, the draft lottery results as well.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Right.
Atlanta.
Atlanta manages to win the NBA draft lottery with some of the worst odds out there. The Pistons get shafted again.
Hmm.
Um, I'm trying to find the results. I know the Spurs finished with the fourth and
It's
eighth.
Atlanta, Washington. I forget who three is. Spurs are four. Pistons are five. Forget who three is. Charlotte maybe. Might be
Um,
Charlotte at three. I
think
can't
that
remember off the
sounds
top of my
right.
head, but Atlanta, that's big because they want to kind of restart, get Trey Young out of there, probably maybe keep DeJounte Murray. And when you get the number one pick in the draft, that definitely gets you to put in an opportunity where you can completely start your rebuild. Although this is one of the weaker drafts we've seen in a long time,
Yeah, they were
I
saying
mean, yeah.
the number one pick for the draft this year in a normal year is like maybe the eighth or ninth pick.
which is why the Pistons dropping to five is
It's already been bad for them, and that made it that much
losing what
worse.
27 or what 28 games, whatever it was, they lost the regular season in a row
Yeah,
just to end up
break
with
the
the same
record.
pick they had last year. It's fucked up, man. It's fucked up. But yeah, I mean, like we said, this draft isn't crazy. I think there's a lot of mid-tier guys though, like in the picks like 5 to 10 or 5 to 15 even that could all end up like you can get a guy at 10, 12, 13, 14 that will end up being one of the five best players in the draft. I think there's
Yeah.
talent there.
And the top 14 picks, Atlanta won, like we said, Washington two, Houston three, San Antonio at four, Detroit falls all the way to five, Charlotte at six, Portland at seven. The Spurs get the eighth pick, so maybe they can package the fourth and eighth pick for maybe a guy like Trey Young. Uh, Ninth, Memphis, 10th, Utah, 11, Chicago, 12th, the Oklahoma City Thunder, 13, Sacramento, and 14, Trailblazers.
Okay, see, still gets a lottery pick despite being the best team in the West this year, record wise.
Yeah.
But
I don't think
yeah,
they're gonna have their actual first because of like pick swaps or something.
that's what it is. Yeah, but there, I mean, we already know that's not going to be worse than 12. So yeah, that's a, I don't know. It's an interesting one because if this was like a year where we had a Wemby or something at the top, Atlanta jumping all the way to one would be a much bigger
Oh
deal.
yeah,
But because no one cares about this draft, no one really cares about Atlanta jumping that high.
they can still
I think
add
with one,
talent
four, and
though.
eight though, oh yeah, especially if they get 1, 4, and 8, like they'll be able to have a decent team. I think off a rip. I mean, I
Or
don't
at
know
least
if
just
Yeah.
the
jumpstart the rebuild, and you'll be ready in
uh,
like 3 4 years once at least two of those three guys develop.
definitely. I don't think the Spurs do 4 and 8 for Young though, but I think Atlanta would do that all day.
I wouldn't I wouldn't trade either of those if I'm the Spurs. Maybe eight and like next year's first for somebody, but definitely keep four and maybe go after like Rob Dillingham.
That
Him
would
and
be
Wemby would be
crazy.
really
Yeah.
cool. I
It
mean,
would be. But then you don't need Trey Young.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Go package like eight in next year's first for like, I don't know, Paul George for veteran leadership or something. I don't know. Maybe not Paul
That'd be an
George,
interesting
but
team.
I
That
I
would be an
mean,
interesting team though.
Spurs have a lot of things they can do with this.
They got to get Wemby somebody, regardless.
Yeah,
They have to get Wemby
I
somebody.
don't think they can use both firsts on young guys and try to just keep getting young guys. I think they have to try to get some sort of veteran.
I agree. Some sort of good uh, lob passer for their lob threat. Obviously, at center with Wemby or small forward, however you want to take it.
right.
I wouldn't even think it's a bad idea for them to get a true center on the Spurs
Yeah.
because I think a true center with Wemby playing the four or the three, I think is a recipe for success for them. Because Wemby's great and he's one of the best, if not the best, defensive player in the league, but he's not going to be able to bang bodies out there. You need like a, I'm not going to say Isaiah Stewart, but an Isaiah Stewart esque player to be scrappy down there.
Get someone to
But
fight LeBron.
yeah, because imagine Wemby fighting LeBron.
The Timberwolves situation is very interesting in terms of Wemby because if you move Wemby from the five to the four, like kind of how Cat did when they got Gobert, and allow someone to be a great rim protector down there, or just a Isaiah Stewart kind of guy where he's just banging bodies over and over again, fighting LeBron, so to speak. That could really change the dynamics of your offense because you could have like different principles of a zone or of a 3-2 zone where you can have those two building blocks down there if that's the direction you decide to go.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think they have many options. And when you have Wemby, I mean, they got the hard work done already. Now you just got to build around them.
Right.
And with the assets they have, I find it hard to believe it won't be a playoff team next year. But especially when you have the best coach in the league, allegedly.
I feel like they have more to go than just like a point guard and maybe a wing scorer.
I agree, but when you have 4 and 8, and it's a very desirable location for stars to get to go play with Wemby, they're gonna get somebody.
Right.
They're not gonna just come out of here with not another elite star, I would assume.
They probably will. I'd be very curious how they handle all of it.
They should go Dillingham 4, Shepherd 8, and pair those two with Wemby. That would be a deadly, deadly combo.
I keep
Just get
seeing
Kentucky's
Shepherd
team
at
in.
2, and it's crazy.
He had a 42-inch
Wow.
vert yesterday at the combine, so
Saw that. What y'all
He's
know
the
about
first.
that 42-inch vert?
he had a
man?
good combine. It looks like Edie can shoot threes, which we kind of
Yeah,
known,
that was
but
off the dribble too.
yeah,
Off the dribble shooting.
we've known
I think
that.
that was among big men though, right?
Yeah, he
It
still
had
shot
to
pretty
be.
good. He shot, I think, better
Yeah.
than Klingon.
He did.
But
I think he
Painter
was the
just did
best.
not want him to shoot ever. So
I mean, they had a strategy and it worked for all but like 2 games.
yeah,
What do you guys
but-
think you're shooting in that drill out of 25?
under
Well, I
50%.
didn't catch the drill. What's the exact drill? You're just like running around a
I'm assuming
Well, I
it's
guess I'm shooting it.
5 shots from each of the 5 spots on a 3-point line.
well, it was off dribble, so I don't know.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm thinking of the what's it called? They showed like that leaderboard on like the jumbotron or something, and I think
That
Edie
was for
like,
off
tied
dribble
for
shooting.
5th. That was off dribble. Oh,
I'm pretty
okay.
sure. He was
Yeah.
like 60% or something. Which just makes it even more insane that he was as high, but I don't know. It depends on the drill. I mean, not 60%. Like I'm not shooting 60% at all.
yeah,
Right.
under 50.
I'll still hate on Zach Edey, but I'm
Bronny
actually starting to
James.
come around on Edey a little bit.
I've liked it. I think Edie could be a solid NBA player, man.
If
I
if
think
the
he might
Bulls
be able
take
to,
him at
too.
11,
Dude, imagine Edie and Wemby together.
I know, dude.
That's the
That would
big
be
man they
perfect.
need.
Oh
That's
my
the
god,
big man they need.
Perfect.
The Twin
Trade down.
Towers.
That would be insane. Could you imagine I'm trying
Rob,
to drive
Wemby,
Isaiah
and
Thomas trying to
Edey.
drive in on that?
Well, it's either
So
Jalen
big.
Brunson. They might have to
Yeah,
just
oh my
arrest him that
God.
game.
Yeah, don't even let him go. That would be insane. I would actually love to see that. That'd be honestly any of the big like Klingon and Wemby,
Yeah.
any of the big centers in the draft would be fun. But like you said, yeah, Bronny. Apparently he's short.
Yeah, he's
Not as tall.
perfect size for a corner.
Yeah, it's tough, bro. 6'1", that's tough when you're not the
Yeah.
most skilled guard.
Yeah, he was shooting. He did great. He finished like second in the shooting drill. But if you watch the actual video of him doing the shooting drill, he was catching the ball and taking about 5 minutes to spot up and shoot it. So that's
you
not
not
going
allowed
to
to
work
do
in the
that?
NBA. Well, I mean, in the NBA, you're not going to get 5 seconds
yeah.
to stand there
You
and
got to be
prep
quick.
your shot. You got to be quick.
But what were the other
He's
guys
taking
doing?
his time. I mean, they were just kind of going kind of quick. I don't know. He just looked really slow, and you're not going to get that much time in the NBA.
Yeah. He's gonna get drafted
He's
though.
gotta.
He's gonna get drafted. It feels like it's inevitable.
Well, I mean, I think he goes back to. I think he goes to Ohio State, honestly, still. But
Didn't he announce
Either
that he's
way, he
staying in the
needs to go
draft?
back to school. Just
he can still go back.
there.
I'm pretty sure.
I think once you commit and you by the deadline though, you have to stay, right?
No, you can do the combine. I mean, E did the combine last year.
I know the combine, but I think he said that he's going into the draft and hiring an agent. Did he not?
I don't think so.
Oh, I thought I
I
saw
have
that
no
on Twitter.
idea.
Maybe I got by something, but let me see.
I mean,
But I think
he signed with Clutch in 2022.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, he's still maintaining. I could have
His
sworn I
junior
saw the
year
other
of
day.
high
that
school, he signed with an agency. That's insane.
Okay, no, yeah, 24 hours ago they said he is now expected to remain in the draft and forego his eligibility, but nothing has been officially announced.
I
That
think
must
it's
have
just
been that
smarter
was
for him
23
to
hours
stay
ago.
another year, collect NIL money, just raise your
The money
stock,
don't matter. The money doesn't matter.
I know the
at
money
all.
doesn't matter, but
I
like,
think
there's
you're
nothing
good.
wrong with collecting a little bit more.
Safe to say him and Zuri and Bryce are set for life. I don't think they're gonna worry about nothing, but no, I think he's gonna
Multiple
get
lives
drafted.
over.
He's
Yeah,
gonna
he
get drafted.
will. It'll be like back
Probably
end
to
of the
like
first round, just because a team that is contending wants a shot at LeBron in free agency or something.
he's gonna go to the Lakers. I feel like that's just set in stone at this point. The Lakers just do what LeBron tells them to do.
Yeah, and as
That's
you
every team
can
LeBron
see that.
has been a part of.
Have you guys seen the front runner for head coach?
Oh, isn't it JJ
JJ
Redick and
Redick
a couple other
is the
people?
front
Is
runner
that
for the
true
Lakers.
though?
Yeah.
That would be great.
That'd be really
But
cool, actually.
Braun notoriously stays out of the coaching situations, though. That's like the one thing he doesn't want to touch. He likes to play
He
the
stays out of the
GM.
coaching situations, but then like in the huddle, he's always grabbing the clipboard from Darvin Ham and whoever the Tyron Lue back in Cleveland.
Well, that's good. Yeah, he doesn't care who gets hired because he knows he's the coach, he's the GM, he's the player, of
He
course.
would be such a good coach, though.
LeBron.
He
Yeah,
should
he
just be a
really
player
would be.
coach.
I feel like he won't do it though.
He probably
I feel like
won't,
he's gonna
but
step
he'd be
away and
such a
just
good coach.
chill.
He's one of the smartest players in NBA history. You hear him and guys like JJ Redick talk about the game on their podcast. They just sound out. It's almost like a whole different language to some people, even me, because it's like, okay, I had no idea people think this, and this, well, this, and that are all happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the
It's
way
a
they
good
break down
podcast.
the game is, oh, it's incredible.
My problem with the podcast though, and this is getting a little offhand. So you guys have all seen it, right? Full
Some of
episodes.
it. I haven't seen
So
all
you
I've
know
of
seen
how
a
it.
like
couple full episodes.
in the beginning it's JJ Redick like breaking down everything they're gonna talk about, and like he'll
Right.
go through like 15 different plays. I wish they would just wait until they're talking and they mention that and then cut to him explaining it because he explains a ton of shit and you completely forget it all by the time they start talking about it.
Oh,
And
Okay, yeah.
I'm like trying to remember like what they're saying. But I don't know. I like that they do explain it though.
Yeah, it helps out. I tweeted about this a couple weeks ago, or maybe a month ago when I watched the first couple episodes. The way they break it down and help the casual fan who may want to learn more, or they relate to the more experienced fan who does want everyone, you can always learn more for basketball, especially from guys like that. So the way that they make it possible for you to understand what they're talking about, it's a really cool thing.
Definitely.
yeah.
I'm trying to do my best LeBron impression right now, if you couldn't tell.
Yep. 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 Have you seen that video? JJ Redick's talking and LeBron just keeps going, yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I did.
Yep.
I think that's like he does that often.
Yeah.
He
They call
likes
him
to
like, yep.
agree before you finish your point.
Like, yep. Yep.
But yeah. Oh, we're trying to think. There's more NBA news. My son's fire Vogel and hire Mike Budenholzer,
Good
who
move.
crushed our dreams just 3 short years ago, in the NBA Finals. At the end of the day, I'm not a big Coach Bud fan, but if KD wants him and Book wants him, then I do too. And as long as he's able to maximize the offensive ability of those three, that's all it's going to come down to. The only guy who, like, off the top of my head that I was going to say like, oh, I really want them would have been like Tyronn Lue, of course, if he left the Clippers, or I would have been. I mean, JJ Redick would have been a flashy hire, so I would have been cool with that. But I guess we'll take Coach Bud. He's an Arizona guy. He's been a Suns fan his whole life, or grew up a Suns fan. So similar to the situation I'm going in with Mark Pope.
Mm.
Lot of reason to want to win. I mean, I guess Coach Bud is a champion, but how much of that was on him, we don't know. But he did a good job of maximizing the ability between Holiday, Giannis, and Middleton. So maybe he could do it again.
I think that's a big upgrade for you guys. In
Yeah,
my
it's definitely not a downgrade,
thought
regardless of
process.
what you think of him.
There isn't downgrades from Vogel. There
That's
isn't.
true.
Rehiring Monty Williams would have been an upgrade.
I don't know about that.
had to
That
done
didn't work out very well.
Didn't work out for the Pistons, but I mean, we did get to the finals
Yeah. I
without
mean,
KD.
different time. Different time.
Yeah, it was a different time, but I think that's about all we got to say about the NBA before we get into our um playoff talk. Do you want to do the NFL schedule, or do you want to just go right into playoff talk?
Let's say we go into
We'll just
playoff
stick
talk.
NBA, then we'll go NFL after.
Oh, wait, one sec. Breaking news out of the football world. I don't know if you guys saw 2 days ago, Baby Gronk commit to Ohio State. Just now, just now he has flipped his commitment from Ohio State to Michigan. Just 2 days later.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
insane, actually.
Michigan hasn't announced anything at all, obviously, because this is just
I
his
take it
dad going
Ohio
crazy.
State. Yeah. I respect
Crazy
him
how
though.
this-
He's on the grind for
Crazy
his
to-
for his son.
Crazy 1 day commitment change from Ohio State to Michigan.
Their biggest rival. I like it though. High
Little
class
wall.
trolling from the Gronk family.
Yeah.
But all right, start off Knicks Pacers. When me and Mike were on here last week, this was a 2-0 series lead for the Knicks, I believe. Now it is 2-2 as we have 3-2-2 series and a 3-1 series, which is great. We predicted the second round was going to be pretty fun, and it's almost impossible for us to not get a game 7 at this point. Knock on wood. Hopefully we get at least one. But Knicks Pacers, losing OG Anunoby was just crucial for this series. The Pacers have been a lot better since he stopped playing. Tyrese Halliburton has some of his better playoff games over the past couple days or so. I'm just seeing on ESPN right now, Windhorse is talking about Bronny, saying he's unknown in NBA circles right now. I think everybody knows him pretty well, but
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean,
well, at
and
least he
LeBron
doesn't wear
James
number
Jr.
23. He doesn't wear number 23 though, so you can't get him confused.
Yeah,
Oh, right.
That's the whole reason. But yeah, Knicks Pacers. I still like the Knicks in this series despite the Pacers blowing them out in game 4. And I believe what's the score game? 111-106. Or sorry, game 3 was 111-106 for the Pacers. But as we know, the series has not started yet. And my take on the Nuggets Wolves series is that one also hasn't started yet because I think
yep.
also needs to win a
Mhm.
playoff game for the series to start, but or it's really, really, really started one of the two. But yeah, Jalen Brunson was good in game 3. He wasn't not one of his better games. He shot 10 for 26, and then as we know in game 4, he was not good at all. 6 for 17, over 5 for 3, 18 points, minus 27. Dante DiVincenzo in game 4 was a minus 40 on the plus minus. But I guess that doesn't matter as much considering they usually don't play many guys, even though they kind of had to this game with going down by so much. But I will say for the Knicks, good sign, although they got blown out, a lot of their players got to rest after game 4. I mean, 24 minutes for Precious Achiuwa, 22 for Hartenstein, 31 for Brunson, 24 for Josh Hart, who finished
That's
with
all.
3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 points. Not his usual self. And then DiVincenzo played 32, which is probably the reason why he is the worst plus minus on the team. He played the most minutes. But I still feel good about the Knicks. They play tonight. I think they're going to get a win tonight. And then hopefully for them, OG Anunoby can come back because if he doesn't come back, we can book the Celtics in the finals.
Yeah, this series has definitely been very interesting. Like you mentioned, hasn't actually started yet, but I think the Knicks just Tibbs playing the starters, like for example, Josh Hart, he was playing 48 minutes basically every single game aside from the last one. He even said in like a post-game interview or an interview off the court or something saying he was tired, he was feeling it. It was affecting him, but he's fighting through it. And in these long series, like I believe they just came off of a 6-game series against Philly. And now if they go 7 against the Pacers, and if the Celtics, if Donovan Mitchell misses another game, and Celtics win in 5, they're just. I was telling Milos yesterday, my buddy Milos, that it was basically kind of like third partying in Fortnite. That's what the Celtics are going to be doing. Whoever comes out of this Knicks Pacers series is going to be battered and bruised, and the Celtics are going to sweep in out of nowhere and just they're going to be rested. They're going to be healthy. It's basically going to be wraps. So, like you mentioned, Celtics, they probably have a pretty easy path to the finals if they get rid of the Cavs early, but whoever they face is going to need some crazy heroics because of how tired they're going to be. The Pacers got to continue to spread the ball around. They got to let Halliburton kind of be himself because if he goes on one of those heaters from 3, he's always going to shoot like 10 plus threes in every single one of these playoff games because he wants the ball in his hands. He wants to be able to make those plays, whether it's a putback dunk that he can flex on afterwards, or crazy bounce assist or cross court assist, or just hitting a crazy 35-foot 3. He wants to get the home court hyped. He wants to create momentum. He wants to generate that. And he has been in these last couple games. And if they continue to do that, maybe they show up and win the next 2. But again, series hasn't started yet, so there's a lot to be seen.
Yeah, Pacers did what they had to do at home. Dominated game 4, especially, was not close at all. Halliburton has really turned it up this series. He's been very good as of late. He had his struggles in the second half of the season, but it's time to really start turning it up. And he has. Ben Shepherd. I mean, the depth of this Pacers team has been very, very good. Ben Shepherd's been great. Aaron Nesmith's been phenomenal. Andrew Nembhard's been good. Obi Toppin has been phenomenal. They're really using their depth to beat the Knicks. And I think the longer this blowout might have helped the Knicks rest wise, but the longer this series goes, the better it is for the Pacers, considering how deep they are. They're going to be more well rested. The Knicks have to find someone else to throw into the rotation to play more. They've been trying Alec Burks a little bit. they're gonna have to find something because right now, if everything's Brunson and the Pacers are able to continue slowing him down, it's gonna be a rough go for the Knicks. But they get this game here in New York. I don't think it's a must win, but you kind of have to win it. You wanna just protect home court. If the series never starts, they win by default. So they need to they just need to keep winning the home games.
Yep, moving on to another series that has not started yet because the home team has not won a game. The Nuggets and the Timberwolves. Um, this one, although is different to me than the Knicks one, where the Knicks went up 2-0, they lost two in a row, and I still think the Knicks are going to win. I think this is the Nuggets series now. I completely threw them away last week going down 2-0, and rightfully so. I mean, they looked absolutely smothered. They couldn't do anything on offense. Jamal Murray was horrible. Every trap worked out for them. The Nuggets couldn't pass out of any of them. And now we're sitting here just 5 short days later, 6 short days later, and the Nuggets are in a 2-2 series. They play tonight in game five. And they've been really, really good in these past two games against the uh Timberwolves, excuse me. I don't know why I accidentally opened two of the same game here, but whatever. Um, the Nuggets I just think are gonna win this series. They needed the biggest thing that I said on the last pod that they needed to I think I said it on that last pod. It solves everything blending together now. But they need, of course, Jokic to be like Jokic. They need Jamal Murray to at least be able to score the ball. Maybe he doesn't need to go score 35 and hit 2 game winners like he did in the Lakers series, but he still needs to be a effective scorer and get you around 20 to 25 a game. And then you need one of Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. to show up every single game. If you have a game where both of those two don't show up, you're going to lose no matter what. Jokic and Murray are not going to be able to carry you all the way to a win against a team as good as the Timberwolves. But since then, Michael Porter Jr. has not been good in either game really, but Aaron Gordon has been phenomenal. He had 27 points on 11 for 12 shooting, 2 for 2 from three in the last game, and he had 7 rebounds and 6 assists to go on with it. The Timberwolves, I feel like their strategy is probably let's let those two try to beat us, Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon. And they did. They did let them beat them. They completely got beat single-handedly by Aaron Gordon. Christian Braun was decent off the bench. They also needed, like we said, Mike, on the last pod, they need guys off the bench that at least are going to step up and give them double-digit points. They've been able to get that from Christian Braun. It seems that Michael Malone and his Nuggets team have figured out how to score on this Timberwolves defense. They scored 115 in game four and 117 in game three. I think the Nuggets are going to come back home. They're not going to struggle with the altitude change as much as the Timberwolves will. Coming from Minnesota back to Denver, they're more used to it. I think Denver is going to win this series. I do think it's going to flip, though. I think we see Denver win game five at home. I think we see Minnesota win game 7 or 6 at home, and then Denver cleans it up in game seven.
This is definitely, again, a 2-2 series. You can't help but think it's going to go seven. And given how both teams won the road games, it's honestly crazy. Not the Thunder. The Timberwolves came out, they shocked Denver 2 games in a row in games 1 and 2. But then I feel like they got complacent. They were satisfied with stealing 2 games on the road, and then they came back home, and you could see it in game three. They just didn't come out with that same energy that they did in games 1 and 2. They just laid back. They were comfortable. They lost game three by a lot. Game four, there was a little bit of panic because they're like, okay, if we don't win this, they've got all the momentum going back to Denver and in one of the most difficult places to play in the entire NBA. One, because the fans are actually really passionate there, and two, the altitude, like you mentioned, Josh. It's it's almost similar to a do or die situation, and they lost. So they're now on the ropes. They're back on their heels. It's a very unfortunate situation for them. Ant has to continue to be fantastic. He's got to be efficient. He's been not historically efficient, but still incredibly efficient this entire playoffs. Cat has to, I believe Cat had one of his worst shooting games of the playoffs last game. He was like 5 for 18 or something. But if he can somehow just hit like 3, 4, maybe 5 threes throughout the game, stay relatively close to the 50% mark from the field, don't give up a ton of points to Jokic and Aaron Gordon down low, and you keep Jamal Murray in check, then you can definitely turn it back in your favor. But like you said, Josh, with it going back to Denver, tough schedule, or not tough schedule, tough travel schedule, and being a tough place to play. you can't help but think that the Nuggets have a for sure advantage because they've got the momentum and now they've got home court advantage too.
Yeah, I still like this Timberwolves team, though I think they'll play better with their back against the wall. They haven't been able to respond. I mean, they swept the Suns, so we haven't seen them respond from a loss yet. Now they've just lost 2 to the Nuggets, so it'll be interesting to see how they come out tonight. Cat didn't have the best game 4, only shot 5 for 18. Anthony Edwards was phenomenal, though. He tried his best to win the Timberwolves this game. He had 44 points in game 4, shot 16 for 25, 5 for 8 from 3. He was very good. But yeah, the Nuggets were just, they were able to dominate. Like you said, Aaron Gordon, 11 for 12, 27 points. He was phenomenal. Jokic played at an MVP level like he normally does, 35 points, 7 boards, 7 assists. Exactly what we said the Nuggets needed to do. They were able to do. Their superstars got going. Aaron Gordon had been getting cooked on defense, but he's been great offensively for him in the entire series. Yeah, they just got to keep this up. Naz Reid hasn't been as big as he was in game 1 or game 2. And like you said, Josh, they've kind of been able to expose the Timberwolves defense a little bit. Maybe they figured it out, or maybe the Timberwolves have just been a little too complacent and just have to get back after it. Gobert missed game 2, and that was maybe the Timberwolves' best game. He comes back for game 3 and 4, and they lose both of them. Maybe Gobert is the issue. I don't know.
Could be.
Have
The series has also been weird because it's always in the playoffs, the role players play better at home. It has been the exact opposite for both,
Opposite. Yep.
which is crazy. I don't think it's just so unpredictable. I expect it to regress to the mean, but we will see. Moving on here to Celtics and Cavs. Celtics are up 3-1 in the series after dropping game 2 to the Cavs at home. Very similar to what they did in the first series against Miami. Miami got hot shooting in game 2. Celtics were able to stifle them and win the rest of the games and win in 5. Jason Tatum, finally, I've been asking for it all playoffs. Honestly, for a while now, I've been asking for it from Jason Tatum. Show me that you can be the superstar in the playoffs. Finally, had his best 2 games in the playoffs in game 3 and game 4. Shot exactly the same in both games. 11 for 25, 33 points in game 3 and game 4. Which I'm just saying that now. That's just insane. But the odds of that happening are crazy. His shooting percentage, obviously, in both those games, 11 for 25 is not great. You'd like to see better from your superstar, but Jaylen Brown, man, has just been wildly efficient this entire playoffs. 13 for 17 in game 3 for 28 points, and then 27 points on 9 for 15 in game 4. He's been great. The Cavs, Donovan Mitchell did not play in game 4. It kind of looks like it's a wrap for the Cavs if he doesn't play. They really, I mean, they were in that game surprisingly, but it doesn't look like they have much of a chance if he does not play. He has a calf strain, I guess, and it seems like ever since the KD finals situation where he had a calf strain, and they're like, fuck it, let's just have him play through it, and then he tears his Achilles. Teams and players are just a lot more cautious of that now. When you see that on like a big stage like the finals, it's very easy to be like, you know what, my calf hurts. I'm not trying to tear my Achilles and be out for a year. But when Donovan Mitchell has played, he's been great. He's been in the 30s all series when he's played. If he plays, I could see the Cavs maybe stealing one more game. I don't think it's going to go farther than 6. But if I had to make a prediction right now, I don't think Donovan Mitchell plays in game 5. I think we see another good game from Tatum and Brown, and the Celtics team is just too good to not win this series in 5 and at maximum 6 games. Gonna look it up. Do we have a update on Porzingis though? Because they can beat the Cavs without him, but I don't know.
Not that I've noticed. I haven't been keeping too close of an eye on it.
Apparently he's been like
He's been working out.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. So I don't know. Maybe we see him. I think the Celtics are going to hold him back this series. I mean, they'd have to lose 3 in a row here. I feel like the only chance we see him would be maybe like game 7 if it gets to that point. I don't think
Right.
it will. And then hopefully for the Celtics case, they win game 5. They close out the series. You have 3 game 2 or game 5s that are all 2-2s, and the rest of the NBA, you're going to get some time to rest. And hopefully for them, Porzingis can come back game 1 versus the Knicks or the Pacers.
Yeah, that's what the Celtics really have to do. They just have to close it out now so they can rest. And like I mentioned before, just kind of third party the Knicks Pacers series. You gotta hope that Donovan Mitchell either doesn't play or he just isn't himself when he comes back. Darius Garland, yeah, he had 30 in the last game, but it was on like what 12 of 27 shooting. That's atrocious.
He's been
So if you
horrible.
can,
He's been really
yeah,
bad.
he really has been 4 of 13 from 3 in the last game. he just has not been able to adapt to the playoff climate, and it's going to cost his team this series, or at least a shot at winning the series. However, they were somehow closely in this game, but then Jaylen Brown hit that really clutch three, the dagger, and then got hit in the chest a little too hard from Tatum. But I don't have too much to say about this series. The Celtics should wrap this up in the next game or two, and they'll be ready for whoever comes out of the Knicks Pacers series.
Yeah, Darius Garland really just hasn't been able to adjust to when Donovan Mitchell joined the team in general. He's been he just hasn't been good this series at all. Shooting 44%. Well, once you see that Donovan Mitchell was going to miss the last game, it kind of seemed like the series was just completely over at that point. They need him to pretty much win the series. LeBron wasn't able to do enough courtside to get him going. Ever since I talked so highly about Derek White after games 1 and game 2, he hasn't been very good, but Jason Tatum has finally stepped up and showed that he is the best player on this team. He's been phenomenal. Jaylen Brown, like you said, Josh, has been phenomenal. He's shooting 61% from the field, 45% from three, shooting about 5 threes a game. The Celtics are just the best team in the East. It's not really close. They're deep. Peyton Pritchard's been good. They obviously have Jrue Holiday as well. Derek White has been good from Sam Hauser has been good for them. Luke Cornett, in the absence of Kristaps Porzingis, has stepped up and been solid. They just have so many guys that they're able to throw out there, and the Cavs just don't have the talent to really keep up with them at all. Evan Mobley's been solid. I just don't see this Cavs team. I don't see them stealing one more game unless Donovan Mitchell's able to come back and put 30 points up on 60% shooting. So Celtics should kind of finish this series out pretty quickly. Tatum is leading the Cavs in this series in points, rebounds, assists, and blocks. So he's proven that he is the superstar on this team.
Moving on to the last series here, we have the Mavericks and the Thunder. Last time we talked about this, I believe they were at 1-1. Now it is 2-2. Dallas took game 3 in Dallas, and then OKC won last night. Speaking of OKC's game last night, they were down for most of the game. I was at the casino. I kept like peeking up at the TV from time to time, and I was like, oh, they're getting closer and closer. And no, well, now they're about to win the game. And they did, and they finished it off. Shea hit a couple big free throws at the end. He struggled from the line a little bit this playoffs, but he was 9 for 10 last night. So he was 9 for 10 in game 3. He was 6 for 6 last night. And I don't believe, did they miss a single free throw last night? They missed one. The Thunder went 23 for 24 from the free throw line last night. That was fantastic. They absolutely had to win this game. They could not go down 3-1 heading back home after winning game 1 and losing 3 in a row. They had, like I said, they had a tough first half in general. They were down 11 at half, and then they ended up having an 35-point fourth quarter to propel them to the victory after being down late in that game against the Mavericks in game 4. A lot of role players that played well. PJ Washington played really, really well last night, and in this whole series, he's played well. I think he's had 29, 27, and 21 in the last 3 games for the Mavericks. He's been fantastic. Derrick Jones Jr. was okay as well last night. But Luka Doncic, he has not had a good series. And honestly, he was all right in the Clippers series, but he hasn't had a great playoffs in general. This is going to be, especially if the Thunder can close this series out and beat the Mavericks and Luka doesn't have like a nuclear last couple games, there's going to be a lot of discourse about Luka in the offseason for how this playoff run was handled when they were in every position to go take game 4 and hit themselves up 3-1 and go to the Western Conference Finals or have a really good chance of going to the Western Conference Finals. But he has not been great. And a lot of his role players have been. I mean, Kyrie was not great last night. He had 9 points on 4 for 11. The way that the Mavericks, I think, need to come back in this series or win this series, just give the ball to Kyrie more. Luka's obviously not shooting it well. 2 for 9 from 3 last night, 6 for 20 from the field. He was in I know game 2 he wasn't good. Game 3, 1 for 4 from 3, 7 for 17 from the field. He just has not been himself. This is the one I'm most torn on of all the series right now, how I think this one's going to go. Because I feel like the Mavericks have played better as a whole, and I just cannot imagine Luka playing worse than he's been playing, and they're still playing all right. But the Thunder are just a dangerous team, and we know these young teams get streaky, good and bad, and winning this game could definitely propel them to winning game 5. But gun to my head, if I had to make a prediction, I'd say the Mavericks have played really, really well in this series. Outside of Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, and those two just cannot really possibly play worse than they played over the past couple games. And I assume they're going to at least play a little bit better, if not the same. And they're 2-2 at this point in the series. So if I had to make a prediction, I picked Thunder in 7, I believe, before the series. If I had to make a prediction now, I think I would say Mavs in 7.
I honestly don't think I could make a prediction for this series. You could argue both teams in 7, and I could see exactly why you do so. The X factor in this series, as wild as it seems, because it is very obvious, it's Luka. He's been playing, like you mentioned, it's been one of his worst playoff series of his career so far. And if he plays better and really either one of their two losses, they're sitting at 3-1 right now. He just has been not efficient at all. He doesn't look as he's not normally explosive. He likes to play to his own pace, to the beat of his own drum, but he just doesn't have that extra little gear that he normally has because he's playing hurt. He's got that knee thing that he's been dealing with all series, and I think a little bit in the first round too. And he's fallen face first on the floor a couple times. Like he's getting beaten up this series, and you can tell he does not look like himself. He's not playing like himself. So if he were to have one of those 30, 40, maybe even 50-point games where he's just incredibly efficient, he's getting to the free throw line enough to force other teams to collapse and stay vertical, and he's able to dish out for those assists. If PJ Washington stays super, super valuable, and Kyrie, he's been so valuable this year. He's been their best player this series, even though he's not averaging like 30 points a game, even though he's capable of it. He's been great finding open players and just being available off ball when Luka's doing whatever the hell he's trying to do this series. And like you mentioned, Josh, PJ Washington has been fantastic. 20 points in each of the last 3 games. He's been great, but you can't rely on him to drop 20 points. You have to get more out of Luka and Kyrie. They have to be more efficient if they want to win this series. And the Thunder, I mean, they were down like what, 12, 13, 14 at some point in like the third quarter, maybe even the fourth. I don't remember exactly. But they came back and they won a gritty game, and it's really impressive despite Josh Giddey continuously starting these games and them starting in a hole every single time he's in the game. They have worked their way out of it. They've gotten momentum back on their side, and in 2 of the 4 games in the series, they've won. So I think home court is huge for sure, but I think if Luka continues to be very inefficient, the Thunder will win this series, because if Luka's going to be shooting 20 shots but isn't making near 10, it's going to be Raps.
Yeah, for both of these teams, I feel like they kind of need the opposite to really step up for them. For the Mavericks, they need their stars, Luka and Kyrie, to step up. Luka has not been good this series at all. Shot 6 for 20 yesterday, 18 points. Had a triple double, but kind of was the reason they lost the game, in my opinion. Their supporting cast has been phenomenal for the Mavericks. PJ Washington has maybe been their best player this series. He had 21 points yesterday. Derek Jones Jr. had 17. He was very good. For the Thunder, they were led by their main
Forgot
star,
the
Shea
boy.
Gilgeous. What are you talking about?
Daniel Gafford almost had
Oh
another
yeah,
double-double.
Daniel Gafford. How can I forget Daniel Gafford? He had 10 points, 4 for 7. He had 8 boards. Almost had another double-double.
Huge.
Almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. But the Thunder, their stars have been great. Shea at 34 points in this game, 14 for 27. Didn't hit a 3, but he didn't need to. Chet was very good, 18 points on 6 for 9 shooting, but their supporting cast kind of struggled. Jalen Williams was 5 for 19. He came up big late with a couple big dunks and layups, and Lou Dort, 4 for 14, 17 points. He needs to be a little bit better, but Hassan Wallace has been great defensively. Gotten Kyrie's head, had that big block on Kyrie. Giddey needs to step up like he kind of has to all season, but it'll be interesting to see. I think if the Thunder supporting cast steps up, I see the Thunder winning. If the Mavericks stars are able to step up, I see the Mavericks winning. And out of those two, I kind of trust the Mavericks stars to step up and play better. I think Luka and Kyrie will be better. I think this series is going to go to a game 7. And I think I'm going to have the Mavericks probably just beating them late because of maybe some more experience with Kyrie already playing in the biggest game 7 maybe of all time. But I just trust those two to step up. Luka has to be better, though. If he's not, the Thunder will win this series. But I just have to trust that he will find a way to get out of this slump.
Before we
All
go
right, so-
forward, I do
Okay.
want to make 2 notes to something I realized while you were talking, Mike. I missed 2 players that I want to put on my list. Not in the superstar tier, but the one below superstar. Chet Holmgren's one of them. He's been fantastic. all year. Great rim protector, able to stretch the floor, provides a lot of value to their offense. And can't leave my boy Zach LaVine out of there. I put him in that tier below superstar. When he's at full strength, he's a 50, 40, 85 guy who can get you 25 to 30 a night. He's a very good player. He just hasn't been healthy like since 2021.
Thing I
What about
heavily
Connor?
included when I was making my superstar list is are these players contributing on a team that can win games? Obviously, this Bulls team isn't great, but he is not a guy that produces wins. He never has been. His whole career, he hasn't been a guy that produces
In
wins.
2021, when everything was going well for the team and the team was built and being used the right way, he was the best player on the team and he was extremely valuable.
If so, Lonzo got hurt, they fell apart. They haven't been the same since. If Levine got hurt, Lonzo never got hurt, and Levine still hadn't played, do you think the Bulls would be in a better or worse spot than they are right now? Because I think they would be in a better.
Yeah, I think they'd be in a better spot as well. I
I think
think.
Lonzo's
Yes,
just a
but
better winning
yes,
basketball player.
only because Lonzo brings more defensively and he was the only true point guard on the roster the last 3 years. And he's only played in 50 total games.
I mean, that's why I just Levine just doesn't contribute to winning enough for me to have him in superstar. He could be a star, but
Oh, I don't think he's a
superstar.
superstar. I think he's in that tier below superstar.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought you were saying he was a superstar.
No.
Okay. Well,
You asked me 2 years ago? Yeah, he's in probably my tier 3 where you could go either way.
you would have had him in like tier 2, I bet.
Maybe. But we're also looking at it right now. So
Yeah.
I was kind of I was an addict back then, let's be honest. Quite the love addict. Oh, that's a bar. Quite the advocate for him. But now he's not necessarily washed, just isn't healthy. Sucks.
Hasn't been great. I do have one more breaking news out of the NBA that we did not touch on that I can't believe we didn't touch on. Thanasis Antetokounmpo tore his Achilles. I don't know how. I don't know what he did to tear his Achilles. He might be the worst player in NBA history
I'm
to
like,
ever. He might be the worst player in NBA history to ever tear his Achilles. But
What do you mean?
like,
I could watch that clip of Thanasis calling for the ball at half court and like begging for it like 3 possessions in a row and never scoring. I could watch that clip all day. So funny.
I just want to know how he tore his Achilles. What did he do?
I don't know. Honestly, I had a bit of a conspiracy theory about that. I think
What is
that maybe he didn't tear his Achilles, and the only way the Bucks would keep him on the roster is if they got him on like an injury exception.
Oh,
So he's faking
my
the injury to
God.
stay on the roster.
Do you think his pride would be able to do that though?
I think he'd rather play in the Bucks than not be in the league at all. Yeah, I think he'd rather be on the
But
Bucks
given
than not
how
play.
he acts when he's on the court, do you really think he's gonna just fake an injury and not
Well,
play just to keep the
I
paycheck?
I agree, but he just wouldn't play on another team, I don't think.
I don't think so either. But do you really think he would do that? I think he'd go. I think he's more likely to go out and try and prove people wrong and go to a crazy number of like training camp invites rather than fake an injury and be out for half a season.
I agree, but I also think if the Bucks management and Giannis came to him and asked him if he would be okay with it, I think he would. I think Giannis has enough pull for that.
yeah. Just let's not forget
Me
how good he
personally,
was
I never
pre-Achilles
let a
injuries.
sibling of mine do that to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. He
Let's
could get better.
never-
I mean, it's hard to get worse.
Nah, he was
It's really
one of
hard.
the he was one of the best NBA players we've ever seen. Don't let this Achilles injuries fool you.
His per 40 shooting percentage has to be just insane. Like 3 for 40 for 40.
This is like Derrick Rose tearing his ACL the first time.
Honestly,
Oh
it's
my
like, oh
goodness.
man, end of an era.
Let's slow down a little bit.
He'll come back stronger than ever, though.
Yeah.
Sure he will.
The bench will be waiting.
The bench will.
Right.
You got some
So-
schedule stuff for us, Zach?
Yeah, so in the last 24 or so hours, we revealed a few games that will be eventually part of the full schedule that is going to be released on Wednesday. We got told that it'll be Ravens at Chiefs on opening kickoff. And then the next day, there's a game in, I believe, Brazil between the Eagles and Packers. we've known that for a month and a half or so. So I'm just kind of
Week
going
one, right?
chronologically. Week 1, yes, it's the day after opening kickoff on that Thursday. And then I believe Monday night in week 1 is 49er or is Jets at 49ers. So Rodgers is going to be making his return, ironically, on Monday Night Football when the last game he played in was on Monday Night Football when he tore his Achilles 4 plays in. And then the next week, I think it's at 3:25 on Sunday or 4:25 Eastern, is Bengals at Chiefs. So the Chiefs are going to get 2 straight home games to start. And then we've got Monday Night Football. And I was going to ask you guys if there's any games that, whether it's across the entire league or for the Lions and Colts, respectfully, that you would like to see either week 1 or really week 18, I guess, since you can really only predict like the bookends of the season.
I
got a
have
few for
one.
the Bears.
I
You
have
go first.
I have one. Week 1, I want to play in Jacksonville. Just like,
That would
I
be
always
actually
wanted.
nice.
I mean, do you know the reason why?
Get it out of the way early.
Yeah, we can never win in Jacksonville, and we
Yeah.
can never win week 1. So if we get them both in the same week, that we're not going 0-2, then we can only go 0-1. And say we win, we
That's
break
actually
2
perfect.
curses. And
I like that. I like that a lot.
so like, and then week 18, I wanted to see the Texans again.
Let's see. Well, speaking on those last games you just said, Rodgers playing Monday night week 1 again. I love. I think that's cool. Chance to redeem
like it
himself.
too.
It also
His
has the
other-
opportunity to go very, very wrong.
Oh,
The other
yes.
Achilles.
Oh, my God. that'd be
man, or like an
crazy.
ACL or something. That would be insane. I don't have many thoughts on the Brazil game. The opening kick game, I like Ravens Chiefs. That'll be cool.
Yes.
All I gotta say about that is the Ravens are fucking ducking us after last year. They could have gotten that rematch. They're choosing to duck us, it seems. It is what it is. For the Lions, I'd like to see the Lions Niners rematch on prime time. I'd be pretty shocked if we didn't see that. Who else do we? I don't even remember. What divisions do we play? We play the AFC South, right?
South.
And who do we play in the NFC?
We have the West.
West, right? Yeah, okay. Rams, Lions in prime time would be cool.
That would also be a really good one.
So that one in the Niners game, and then yeah, that's about it. Honestly, I don't really care. Give the Lions more than 4 or 5 primetime games. I think they had 5 last year.
4? Jeez.
They had 5 last year, and they didn't do shit the
Was
year
it
before
4 in
outside of
Thanksgiving
barely
or
made the
5
playoff.
in Thanksgiving?
Let me think. Raiders Monday night opening kick. Do we count the Saturday game?
I would say so.
If we're counting Saturday games, so
Saturday night. That's
I
prime
know we're
time, right?
counting
Saturday night.
Saturday night. Yeah, I just didn't think of that.
Broncos Saturday night.
Electric.
Cowboys Saturday night. Packers Thursday night. That's 5. That's 5 primetime, 6 with Thanksgiving. So I'd be happy with that again. Give the Lions 5 primetime games on Thanksgiving, and I'll be happy.
I could see it happening. Especially with, I'm going to get into this in a minute, with the Bears being on the rise and all the storylines with them. But with the 3 games that have been revealed to us, I think Texans Chiefs would have been a very interesting opening night. But I do like the AFC Championship rematch as well. I think all 3 of the games they've revealed so far are great. I think they might be saving Chiefs Texans until like maybe Christmas, something like that. Or that's the Black Friday game. I don't know. But for the Bears, I have 3 games that I'd love to see week 1. Bears Lions Sunday Night Football. I think that would be incredible. The last few games that they've played against each other have been very fun to watch. For both sides, Lions had that nice
The
comeback.
last one wasn't fun to watch at all. The last one was
maybe not for you, but the one in Detroit this season, Lions came back last minute and scored. I don't even know. They overcame a 12-point comeback in the last 3 minutes.
4 minutes, yeah.
4 minutes, and then the next one, Bears kind of dominated for 3.5 quarters. It was pure bliss. It was great.
We were up at half.
then-
I mean, 3.5 quarters of a stretch. We were up at half. 13-12, wasn't it? Or something like 14-13?
No, I think it was like 13-7 or something, or like 13-10.
No, it was a 1-point game. It was for sure.
The one in
You keep
Chicago?
talking. I'll get the info. You keep talking.
Okay. But and then last season, obviously the one in Detroit didn't go great, or not last season. The one in 2022, the Bears Lions in Detroit, it was just, that was gross. But then Bears Lions in Chicago, Lions came back and won that one. and that was a crazy Justin Fields rushing game. So there's a lot of obviously Fields isn't with the Bears anymore, but it's a very
13-10 Lions at
it,
half.
13th and lines and a half. Okay,
And then the
but it was
Lions
still a
didn't score the
very
rest of the game.
it was still a very interesting matchup the last few years. And Jared Goff in his career at Soldier Field is 1-3, and he just got extended 4 years, $212 million.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about that. I completely forgot
Right.
about that. Yeah,
We can
Lions
touch on
are
that
are unloading.
we'll get to that in a second. And then the next game I would love Bears Panthers, probably the noon slot. I would love to get the Panthers. We can get all the trade back from one like details out and over with. We can set the over under for how many times the trade is mentioned at like 5.5, probably hitting the over during the broadcast. And it's honestly an easier game for the Bears to really just get their season going with than other options like this next one, Bears Texans on Sunday Night Football. I think that one would be crazy good. The best quarterback from last year's draft class against the number one overall pick and who's looking like will be the best quarterback in this draft class, at least kind of extrapolating a little bit. But Stroud with the receiving group of Diggs, Collins, and Dell against Caleb Williams with the receiving group of DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Roma Dunze. That's scary. That's got like 38-33 written all over it as a final score. That would be such a fun game to watch. Week 1, it'd be a little dicey strictly because rookie quarterback, but Caleb loves the bright lights. So I think that'd be a fun game to watch.
You're missing one. The one you're going to get and deal with. Commanders Bears Thursday Night Football. You're going to get that game and you're going to like
week. That's going to be week 3, 4, or 5. I bet
that one's going to happen though. You guys play the Commanders, right? I'm pretty sure you do.
Yes, we do play the Commanders.
That game's for sure going to happen. And
I feel like they have to throw it on Thursday night because it's the rubber match of the last two. Both on
yeah.
Thursday
Well,
night.
and Daniels, Caleb Williams.
Daniels Caleb is also big too.
Yeah,
They have the scheduled loss in Indy as well. The Bears do.
Yep. Lions have a scheduled win in Indy.
I want to go to that game.
They have
so
a scheduled
bad.
loss as well.
Bears Colts in like mid-October. It's gonna be amazing. I hope that falls on like my fall break so I can go. It'd be such a fun game to go to.
Colts are notoriously we're gonna go 4-0 against that shitty division, but
I think you can argue
you're
our
gonna
division is
go
the second
2-2
best in the
and
league.
you're gonna deal with it.
we went 4-0 last time. We're gonna go 4-0 this time. And then we'll go
the
4-0
Lions
next
were
time.
Horrible last
Well,
time.
who was better, Phillip Rivers or Anthony Richardson?
Phil.
We'll
That's
see.
how long ago it was.
We'll see.
Phil was good that year.
Phil was phenomenal that year, and you know who else was
Yeah,
phenomenal?
yeah.
Jonathan Taylor, and Jonathan Taylor's gonna be
high-
phenomenal this year.
It's a high bar for Richardson to pass up legendary Colts quarterback Philip Rivers.
Better coach though. Better coach.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out Frank Reich though. But or yeah, it was Frank Reich then, yeah. I don't know why my mind went to Chuck Pagano's face and said Frank Reich, but
No.
I think
essentially the same person
Pagano was
I
with the
asked.
Bears that year in 2020.
We beat Pagano, yeah.
Well, before we end off here, I'm just gonna quick little piece about the Lions and Goff. $53 million a year for 4 years is a shit ton of money. But the Lions had a strategy going into this offseason. They're gonna pay their 3 pillar players outside of Hutchinson who they can't pay yet. Sewell, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and of course Jared Goff. There are a lot of players at receiver, at tackle, and at quarterback who are due to get paid this year. I think there's like 5 at each position that are going to get paid top tier money. When you have the opportunity to go be the first team to pay those 3 guys, all of those other players at those positions, those other 12, 13, 14 guys are going to get more money. We already saw it with A.J. Brown immediately after Amon-Ra got signed. The Lions are going to end up paying the lowest price of any of those guys. If you're going to pay that money, you do it now. You don't wait. I like the decision. I have no problems with them paying Goff $53 million at all.
I don't have a problem with it either. It's a situation where you don't have a backup plan if you don't do it. So you're not forced to, but you kind of have to. And it's not even like a bad thing either because he's winning you games. The fans love him. He's a staple of your franchise. He was cast aside by the Rams and supposedly this defective quarterback that came into Detroit, had a rough first season, second year. I think his first year was what, the 0-8 year, and then they went 3-13.
Oh, and I think 10 or 11 and 1 or something.
Did he
like
just
that.
finish his third year in Detroit?
That was his third year, yeah.
Okay,
year
so
they won 3 games.
It was 3-13, 9-8 media darlings, and then 12-5.
12-5. 12-5
So,
NFC Championship.
Obvious improvement within not only Jared Goff, but the organization itself. You have to pretty much reward the guy for being committed and just being a good quarterback. I have no
Goff,
problems with it. Like you said, there are going to be guys that are going to be getting paid 55, 57, maybe even 60 within the next 2 years. In maybe 2, maybe 3 years, this looks like a fine deal because the salary cap's going to keep going up. The deals are going to get bigger and bigger. But you got to keep the guys that produce for you and help win you games.
I know some Lions fans and outside fans got a problem with it because it's Jared Goff and he's not flashy and he's making top end QB money. But in my mind, the Jared Goff made this money when he walked out onto the field in the first playoff game and they were chanting his name, and when they won the game at the end and he got to take that last knee. At that moment, he made the 50 million to me. There was no chance it wasn't going to happen. I'm happy they did it.
Yeah, I have no issues with it at all. I think it's just something you had to do. You couldn't let him walk. You have to pay him. So
That or Hendon Hooker. So
yeah,
Hendon Hooker
those are your options. And then if you want to just draft a bunch of late round QBs the next 2 3 years, you could do
Just take
that and hope you
swings.
hit. Yeah, it is what it is. I like it though. But yeah, if that's all we got, I think we can wrap it up here.
I think
So
we're good.
that's going to be about it for this episode of the Engage 8 podcast. As always, click all those links in our description for our social media, our TikTok and Spotify are all in there. Next week, we'll be back to talk about the wrapping up of all these NBA second round matchups, as well as probably previewing the next round, depending on where the games are at and what day we record. But until next time, we'll see everybody in the next one.